Hey guys, today I'm gonna show you how to retouch a photo that was taken inside a temple. As you can see, it was pretty dark in there. That's why I have created three different images using the EA bracketing function of my camera. That means I have a normal, a darker, and a lighter version of the same image. As you can see, I failed a bit because the darker image is a bit overexposed, as you can see near the windows. So to heal this, I use Lightroom's basic adjustments. So I decrease its exposure and also the highlights. And I do the same thing with the middle exposed image. Oops, not the temperature, but the exposure and the highlights. Once I've done with these, I select all of them, I go to Photo Merge and choose HDR. Creating HDR images have the benefit to create 16-bit per channel images instead of the normal 8-bit per channel images, which means more tone, color, and texture in your images. So it basically increase the dynamic range of your original image. As you can see, the basic settings looks pretty cool for me. So I go for them, but if you are interested in more details of creating HDR images in Lightroom CC, I recommend you to check out my last video about creating high dynamic images in Lightroom. Okay, our HDR image is done. So I will do some basic adjustments here in Lightroom, and afterwards I switch to Photoshop to do the final things. Okay, first of all, I would like to enable profile corrections, which corrects the distortion of the lens, and also I would like to remove chromatic aberration, which can be seen here around the windows. I switch to the colors, and as you can see, the purple fringe I can remove with the slider, and also I have some blues here, greens here, so I remove also the green. Okay, there is one more thing I would like to adjust here, is as you can see that the image is leaning to the left, which can be corrected with the straighten tool. All you have to do is to draw the baseline of the image. Okay, it looks pretty cool, but I have to know it's not good. Yeah, maybe that's the way. I usually use the leading lines of the crop tool to check the alignment. Maybe a bit more. Yeah, that's it. Okay, great. Then I think this will be our final crop. Okay, this looks pretty cool. What I'm doing is I'm switching to Photoshop. First of all, I would like to increase the sharpness of the overall image, so I create a copy of the background layer with Ctrl J. I go to Filters, Sharpen, Unsharp Masks. I use the following settings, but I recommend you to always play around with these values, especially the amount and the radius, because it can really depends on your basic image that which value works the best. If you go too far, you can ruin your image, as you can see here in the example. But if you don't go, so if you use lower values, it won't apply any valuable sharpening. But this works for me really well. But don't use this as, it can be good for default values, but always try with different options. Okay, so the sharpening looks cool. I would like to add some contrast to the image to increase the depth of the temple. Yeah, it looks pretty cool, and it also boosts my colors. I really like that. And I also decrease the amount of brightness. Maybe that's too much, but it looks okay. As you can see, the upper part of the image is much more lighter. So I use the curves tool to decrease this lightness, but I don't want this tool to affect this part of my image. So what I'm gonna do is to invert the complete layer mask with the Ctrl I. Then I choose the brush tool and I make sure that my foreground color is the white, because I'm gonna paint over the layer masks, and where I paint, it will mean that the layer is affected. As you can see, if I paint here, it will get darker. Oh, great. This is exactly what I want. Okay. Once we are done with the painting, I recommend you to switch to the mask properties and use the feather option, which means some additional blurring to your mask, which is useful if you don't want exact lines where your effect ends on the picture. And also there is one big benefit of using the feather property instead of using blurring your mask. It can be adjusted anytime. So it's a non-destructive way of modifying your layer mask. Okay. Once we have done this, okay, as I see, the contrast is a bit too much. So I go back and decrease it. Always keep in mind, and that's the brilliance of Lightroom, that you can, if you do it, if you do the photo retouching in a non-destructive way, which means you won't apply everything to your base layer, you can always go back and modify the adjustments. So, what I would like to do is to boost uh, the lines in the image. So what I'm gonna do is press Ctrl, Shift, Alt, and E, which creates an exact copy of all visible layers. And after that, I'm gonna apply a high pass filter on this image. I would like to choose a radius value where all the leading lines are visible, but nothing more on the image. In this case, around 5.9, it looks pretty cool. And afterwards, I change the layers blending mode to soft light. As you can see, I turn it on and off. It adds some extra sharpness, and also it makes the temples little things pops out. Okay, great. There is one more thing that I'm not satisfied with this picture, is the overall mood. I would like to make it a bit warmer, and that's why I use a warming filter, which is a photo filter, which is almost the same that holding some colored glass in front of your lens. There is one big difference between the photo filter in Photoshop and physical photo filters, is that you can preserve the luminosity of the image, which means that the overall brightness of the image won't change, but you can apply the color you want. So I apply some orange color to this image, maybe not that much. I think this will be enough. It gives a really nice mood to the image. I really like that. Maybe one thing we could do, as you can see, after applying this warming filter, these nice blues here from the ceiling is removed. So we would like to add it back. So what I'm gonna do is I click on the layer mask of the photo filter, then choose a brush tool, and I make sure that the foreground color is black, because in this case I want the places where I paint don't be applied by the filter. So I paint over here the blues and also on these paintings and also here and maybe here, and then I apply some feathering. Yeah, it's much more better. Okay, I think we are done with this image. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to answer in comments or reach me out on Google Plus or Facebook or email. So if you like this video, uh, don't forget to follow me, and have a nice day, guys. Bye.